Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Are you willing to undertake a dangerous mission behind the enemy lines, knowing you may never return alive?
What you have just heard is the question asked during the war to agents of the OSS, ordinary citizens who to this question answered, yes.
This is Cloak and Dagger.
Black warfare, espionage, international intrigue. These are the weapons of the OSS. Today's adventure, Norwegian incident, is suggested by an actual incident recorded in the Washington files of the Office of Strategic Services. A story that can now be told.
It was quite a jump from being an associate professor at Wisconsin to the red dust of Camp Rooker. But like most of the guys, I just got used to it. I got used to the clothes, the food. If they let me lie in it a while longer, I might even have gotten used to that army cot.
Hey, Anderson. You awake? Come on, get up.
That's what I like about the army. Everybody's so considerate.
Come on. The captain wants to see you. Hey, you too, Farillo. Snap to it and get your clothes on.
Hey, what's it all about?
How should I know? Ask Private Farillo. He's the guy with all the answers.
What'd you do now, Pete?
Nothing.
The captain wants to see us at this time of the night. You must have pulled a beauty.
Oh, you're nuts. The captain's a pal of mine. He probably wants to know if I'm awake.
Gentlemen, what I'm about to say is confidential, just between the three of us. If you refuse my offer, it will not be counted against you, nor will it go onto your record.
I understand, sir.
The Office of Strategic Services has requested both of you.
Well, I accept. I've always dreamt of having an office job with a pretty whack for a secretary.
I'm afraid you don't understand. Have a cigarette?
Huh? Oh, thanks.
You see, the job of the OSS is to disrupt enemy activity in every way possible. And one of their most effective methods is to drop men behind enemy lines.
Oh, me?
May I ask why I've been requested, sir?
Well, I understand, Corporal Anderson, your parents come from Norway, and that you speak the language.
Yes, sir. I've spent most of my last 10 summers in Norway.
But, why me? I have a tough time with English.
Well, according to your record, Farillo, you were a sandhog.
Well, yes, sir. In civvies, I was a demolition expert. So naturally, the Army put me in the infantry. Sir?
Yes. Now, this job is strictly volunteer. If you want me to leave you alone for a few minutes...
That won't be necessary, Captain.
I should have wised up when you give me the cigarette, Captain. Every time I get something for nothing from an officer, I end up in trouble.
Basic training turned out to be a maypole dance compared to the grind that the OSS put us through. Since we'd been kids, the word sportsmanship had been drilled into us. Well, the OSS kicked it out. The other team was playing dirty pool, and we had to go by their rules. Jagged edge of a bottle, stiff fingers in the eye, a knee in the groin, the flat of a hand across the neck became close friends of ours. We slept on the flight across the Atlantic and finally arrived in London.
Gentlemen, I will outline your mission to you. As you may have surmised, you're going to Norway. Will you step over to this map?
What do you say?
Shut up.
A PT boat will take you out tonight.
Tonight?
In about 2 hours. You will land at this point. You know the territory, Captain Corporal?
Yes, sir. My family came from a village not far from there.
We're going to study these aerial photographs later. There's plenty of cover. Now, here is your mission. This red line, from the north to the south, is the main line of supply. At this point, there's a bridge, which you are to blow up.
Well, that shouldn't be tough.
Blowing it up, no. However, 500 yards from the bridge, right here, there's a German company barracks. The bridge is well protected. It's up to you to figure out a way to dynamite it.
Well, how about our Norwegian contact? Who's going to meet us?
Well, when you hit the shore, take cover. At precisely 11 o'clock, a man will be strolling down the beach. Stop him, ask him how the fishing is. He'll answer, not too good in winter. From then on, you're in his hands. You, Anderson, are his nephew, and you, Furillo, are his cousin.
Yeah, but I can't speak Norwegian.
You will not say anything at any time. You'll be known as the Dumb One.
What?
The reason you're called the Dumb One goes back to a childhood disease.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Goodbye, gentlemen, and good luck.
They flew us to the north of England, hustled us on a boat, and tore off for the coast of Norway. I briefed Pete on the terrain, everything I knew about the bridge. We studied the photographs and rehearsed the parts we were to play. The clothes we were given smelled of fish. They'd been made in Oslo, worn by a Norwegian, and probably picked up in a hock shop on the Bowery. Well, we felt the boat slow down, and Pete and I went topside to get our first glimpse of Norway.
Well, this is as close as we can get, gentlemen. Now, one of my men will row you the rest of the way and return with the boat.
That's just Andy. How do we get back?
According to my orders, you have 5 days to do your job. On the 5th and 6th nights, we will return at 0200.
5th and 6th nights.
You will signal us from the beach with a flashlight. You know the signal. We can stay no longer than 10 minutes.
Well, supposing we can't make it on time. What then?
I hope you can.
Where's the dynamite?
You're standing right next to it.
Those barrels are full of fish.
Yes, the top 2 layers. The rest of the fish have been gutted and filled with plastic containers of dynamite. In case you are stopped, don't worry about the fish. They were caught here last night, packed in ice and flown to England. And they're still nice and fresh.
Well, if we don't blow up the bridge, we can at least open up a fish store. Let's go.
We didn't look back as we rowed to the shore. We listened to the waves hitting the beach. We listened to the stillness that seemed to surround all of Norway. We beached the boat, piled our dynamite behind some bushes, and waited.
What time is it, Andy?
It's about 5 minutes past 11.
Aunt Joe was supposed to be here at 11.
He'll get here.
Supposing he don't make it. Then what?
Got enough rations for 5 days. We'll figure out something.
You know, they shoot guys who don't wear a uniform behind the enemy lines.
What's the matter? You scared?
Yeah. So what?
So am I.
What time's it now?
Can't be more than 10 after. You ought to... Hold it a minute. Coming down the shore.
Yeah, I see him.
You stay back in these bushes and keep me covered. I'll work his back toward you. If I get in any trouble, you know what to do.
Yeah, I studied real hard.
Look, thanks.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
A nice night.
Dark, but pleasant. Tell me, how is the fishing around here?
Not too good in winter.
You can come out, Pete.
It is good to see you. My name is Jansen.
My name is Anderson. This is my partner, Pete Furillo.
Welcome to Norway, Mr. Anderson, and to you, Captain Furillo.
Say, I'm gonna like this country. The promotions come real quick.
I understand you're to lead us to a place where we can hide.
Yeah, that is true. My home is safe. For the past 10 days, my nephews have been visiting me. Every night they come down to fish and return with 2 barrels. We won't have too much trouble.
What kind of trouble do you expect?
On the road back, we must pass a German sentry. 2 of them, to be exact. However, you look like my nephews a little.
Won't you run into trouble having 4 nephews walking around?
No, the other 2 left by sea before you arrived. They also left their wagon so that we can carry your catch.
Say, Pop, ain't you awful old to be mixed up in this sort of thing?
Well, what else can an old man do?
I've been told that the underground's very well organized in this district. Who's the leader?
I am.
There were no lights in the houses we passed. There were no people on the roads. This was occupied territory. Fear and hate filled the air. This was Norway with no songs, unless you can make music out of the heavy tread of a German soldier. We pulled the wagon up the road for about 4 miles without saying a word. Then we saw the roadblock.
Up ahead, the German sentry.
Does he understand Norwegian?
Yeah, we took him in after the last war. We brought him up and he promised to come back. They all kept their promise.
Nice guys to have around. Pete?
Yeah, your friend plays his part well. Remember, you have traveled this road for over a week. If the sentry is familiar, don't be surprised.
Hold your breath, Pete. And remember which fish swallowed the 45.
Halt! Ah, it is you, Herr Janssen.
Yeah.
Dark night tonight.
Yeah, mein Herr.
How was the catch?
We had a good catch.
Well, here, let me take a look. I'd like to know what they'll be serving us tomorrow. Out of my way, dumb one.
I wouldn't mess with the fish.
And why not?
The smell. It will stick to your uniform, and then the girls will object.
You are smart for a Norwegian. Janssen, when am I going to get another bottle of that brandy?
Tomorrow night I will bring it myself.
Dumb one, why aren't you wearing the pants with the patch? Where did you get the new sweater?
Oh, I am having them cleaned for him.
I'll bet he is going to see his girl.
Yeah.
Imagine the dumb one with a girl. He wouldn't know what to say.
It is very funny, mein Herr.
Of course it is. Move along, Janssen. The stink of fish is beginning to hang in the air. Go along now.
Yeah.
Hey, dumb one, maybe you will introduce me to your girl. I'll bet she looks like a fish.
That guy's got a great sense of humor.
We made a move for that barrel of fish. I thought we were done.
It was close.
Close for him, too.
Yeah.
Say, Pop, you and that German sentry were real chummy. Ain't that kind of dangerous for the head of the underground?
Yeah, for the head of the underground, but I am also the local Quisling.
Reached his house without any trouble. It had been 2 very long days, and we were beat. I managed to get my shoes off before I collapsed. And then the sun broke in through the window, and I got up. Pete and I went down for breakfast. There wasn't much to eat, so we broke out our rations and treated Jensen and his housekeeper to some real special delicacies. Dried egg and chocolate.
Yeah, that was good. Real good.
Don't let the army hear you say that.
Huh?
They've dried everything up but steak.
Mr. Jensen, are we going to have any unexpected visitors?
I do not think so. The Germans very seldom come to my home. Oh, occasionally an officer will drop in, but not often. How many men will you need?
I hope we won't need any. Tonight, Pete and I will take a look at the bridge. How close can we get?
That depends.
On what?
On how much of a chance you want to take.
We've got to get right on it if possible. When we place the dynamite, it must be done fast. We can't afford to grope.
Well, you can walk across.
Just like that?
If the sentry doesn't stop you, I would suggest that you ask his permission.
Is he serious, Andy?
Very. See, if we get caught sneaking across, we're liable to be shot. If we can fool the guard at the bridge, we walk across.
And supposing we don't fool the sentry?
You get shot.
us up ahead.
Yeah, look at that hiney pacing back and forth.
Wait a second. Whatever you do, don't say a word. Even if he sticks that bayonet into you. Don't say one word.
I hope you and that guy hit it off real well.
Jansen gave me a good story. It should work. Come on.
Halt!
Good evening, Lieutenant.
I am a corporal. Not that I wouldn't make a better officer than most of them. What do you want?
We would like to cross the bridge.
Why?
Mr. Jansen is our uncle. We have a message to deliver.
What kind of a message?
About a party for the Germans who are barracked here.
For the officers, I suppose. Let me see your papers. You two.
He is dumb. He cannot speak.
He can hear, can't he? Papers. I think all Norwegians are dumb.
The party is to be for the enlisted men.
Oh. Of course, you understand I was not referring to Herr Jansen. He is a smart man. He knows which side his bread is buttered. Here are your papers. Go on now. Don't loiter on the bridge.
Thank you. Keep your eyes open, Pete. We can only make this trip once.
Yeah.
How does it look to you?
We can do it. Only it'll take us at least an hour to set the stuff.
An hour? It's an awful long time.
This is an awful big bridge.
You're going to have to do a good job the first time.
I see you got back. Did you have any trouble?
No trouble. I told him that you were going to throw a party for the enlisted men.
Yeah.
He was quite pleased.
Mr. Ferrillo, you think you can do the job?
I can do it all right if I have the time.
It is very important to us. This is their main line of supply from the north. It will cripple them for months.
What happens after we do this?
There will be reprisals. A few more will die.
Huh. That's a tough shake.
Yeah. There are times when it is better to die. When do you tend to blow up the bridge?
Day after tomorrow. The boat will be there to pick us up. If we blow the bridge at 12, we'll still have 2 hours.
Yeah, more than enough time.
Hey, ain't it gonna look bad for you? Your nephew's disappearing the night the bridge goes?
My real nephews will come back on time.
We better get some sleep. Now, look, I'd appreciate if you'd have the underground give me a timesheet on the German guards.
Yes, sir, yeah.
How many, when they change, where everybody is within a mile.
I will have everything tomorrow afternoon.
Well, come on, Andy. Let's turn in. If I knew that being a spy was going to be so easy, I'd have bucked for it long ago.
Yeah, things are going easy, all right. Too easy.
Hey, where you been, Andy? I've been waiting an hour. We got a rendezvous to make, remember?
We aren't blowing the bridge tonight, Pete.
Well, don't you think you ought to let me in on your plans? It's my neck, too.
It's an opportunity we can't afford to pass up.
Look, Professor, in this game we play for all the marbles, huh? So stop talking in riddles.
According to Jansen, a troop train will be passing through here tomorrow night. The Nazis are moving south, and we can put a real crimp in their plans.
Keep talking.
Not only do we blow the bridge, but we blow up a loaded troop train.
Hey, ain't that shaving it a bit thin? Tomorrow night's the last night we can make that boat, remember?
It's up to you, Pete.
Stop making me the heavy. I'm willing to do it your way, only I want to know what I'm getting into.
That's all there is to it.
Well, just one more question. Have you figured out how we get to the beach after the blow-up?
Through the woods. We're not crawling with Nazis.
Now, wait a minute. The commander of that boat said he'd only wait 10 minutes. And supposing the woods are crawling with Nazis?
Well, we take the big gamble and try to float down the river to the sea. Hope we make it, that's all.
Yeah. Well, okay, I vote your way. Since we're here, we might as well do it upright.
It's a wonderful opportunity, Pete. Even if it is a big gamble.
I don't mind a gamble. I just hope the dice ain't loaded.
We sat for hours and watched the darkness. At 11, we looked at our watches, thought about the PT boat anchored offshore. There were a lot of ifs in our plans, If the moon didn't shine, if the Germans didn't wise up, if the train wasn't late, if the guards weren't doubled. We spent a long night and a long, long day waiting for it to get dark again when Jensen burst into the room.
You will have to change your plans.
We can't. We're set to leave in 30 minutes.
Downstairs, a Gestapo major.
What?
Somebody talked.
I don't know. He says he's looking for someone.
That's just dandy.
He was here some weeks ago. He met both of you. I mean, my real nephews.
Come on, start thinking, Andy. We can't walk past him with our arms full of dynamite.
Can't you get rid of him?
No. When he is in this district, he spends the night here. He sent me for you.
Oh, great.
I think you can fool him, Anderson. You resemble my nephew Arne closely, but then his dumb one, I don't know.
Yeah? Well, he better be fooled, because I'll be carrying a 45 under my shirt.
Come on, Pete. If we can bluff this through, we've got a chance.
Jansen, bottle of brandy. Oh, there you are. Didn't see you standing in the doorway. I can see the bottle. Bring it here.
Right away, Major.
And Anna, come in. I want to talk to you.
Ja, mein Herr.
I understand Norway is playing host to a couple of American spies.
What? That is impossible, mein Herr.
Impossible, but true. However, I shall catch them and teach them a lesson.
Do you know what they look like, mein Herr?
Of course I do not know what they look like, you stupid lout. Do you think they go around singing Yankee Doodle Dandy?
Oh, no, mein Herr.
More brandy. This bottle's empty.
I will get some.
No. Send the dumb one. Go ahead, go. That's odd. I could have sworn last time I was here he was stoop-shouldered. Hey, dumb one!
Where's the brandy?
Well, of course, the brandy. That's what brings me back to this miserable place.
Well, I am glad something brings you back.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. You probably hate me.
Don't mind, Herr. You do me an injustice.
Oh, of course. You are one of our dear quislings. How about you, Arne? How much do you hate me?
No, mein Herr.
No, mein Herr. Yeah. You were almost as dumb as the other one. Where is he?
He's right here with the brandy.
Oh. Give it to me, dumb one. Oh. He opened it for me. Oh, nice. Thank you, dumb one. Anna, come here. Take off my boots.
Ja, mein Herr.
You ought to lick them. I could send you to it. What's happened to your hair? Jansen, I thought your nephew had... What was that?
Oh, the dumb one, he dropped the tray.
Clumsy fool. Brandy should be drunk from a bottle. This is brandy, Jansen. It has been a long... Here.
Huh? I don't understand it. He could drink 2 gallons and not even get a little drunk.
Well, he's good and plastered now.
He'll be out for at least 10 hours.
I don't understand it.
Well, I don't know what the Norwegian word is, but in Brooklyn we call it a Mickey.
Just over this ridge.
We're late, Andy. That train is due in less than an hour.
Well, you'll just have to work faster, that's all. Hold it.
What now?
I got guards in the woods.
Yeah, I see him. It's going to be tough to get around him and slip under the bridge.
That would take us over an hour. We'd miss the boat. We'll have to walk the road right to the bridge.
What about the sentry?
We have to get rid of him and pray that we have time to set the dynamite before they discover him.
Do we hit him together?
You walk about a pace behind me. I've got to get close enough to use a knife.
It's got to be the first time, so don't miss.
Halt! Good evening.
Oh, it's you. Don't you pay any attention to the curfew? What has he got in the package? Come here and let me... Oh!
For a college man, you sure learned a lot of things.
Now, look, you'll have to set the dynamite alone. I'll slip on his coat and stay here. Pretend I'm the sentry.
I'll set it as quick as I can. Lock.
Thanks.
Andy?
You finished?
Yeah. I wish I had more time, but I think this'll do it.
Let's start moving.
We can't.
What do you mean we can't?
I didn't time fuse it.
What?
We had to stay and set it off.
Why?
Look, supposing the train is late, the time fuse would miss. We stayed this long. We might as well finish the job, huh?
Where's your detonator?
About 100 yards back.
Lead the way.
Okay. I didn't have time to bury the wire.
Hope nobody trips over it.
The bridge looks like a Christmas tree, you know? More wires than American TNT.
Well, all we can do now is wait.
Yeah. Gee, wish I could smoke a cigarette.
So do I.
Might as well get comfortable. How much time we got to get to that boat, huh?
Less than 50 minutes.
Huh. Too late to go through the woods?
Too late.
Well, so is the river.
It's going to be tough. Half a railroad will be drifting with us.
Don't worry about that later. We're going to be sitting ducks when our bridge goes. It'll be like noon.
Attention! A guard has been killed!
Ah, looks like they found our friend, huh?
It's really going to get crowded here in about...
Attention!
Hey, here comes a commuter special.
That's our target.
Look at it snake along.
It's getting closer. Wait till it hits the middle and then push the plunger.
You'll take the whole bridge, you know.
Make sure you get the cars.
I know what to do.
I'll tell you what to do.
do.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now!
Pretty, ain't it?
For a hurry-up job, you did fine.
You should have seen what I did for graduation.
Down the slope and into the river.
Yeah, right behind you, pal.
Here's our private car. Grab a hold of that beam.
I got it.
Why, those fires make a beautiful sight.
I'm too busy to be an nature lover.
Well, don't let go. The current will drag you right down.
I'm holding. Hey, the water's cold.
This'll take us close to the rendezvous.
It's real cold. Hey, Andy.
Yeah?
When we get back to camp, remind me to tell you about a dame I know in Brooklyn.
What about her?
She gave me the air for a lifeguard, because I couldn't swim.
The blowing up of the railroad bridge in Norway cut a German lifeline and paralyzed their Norwegian forces for months. Besides the loss of military strength from the troop train, much needed ore and food was kept out of Germany. This was another blow struck toward the final invasion. And once more the report of an OSS agent closed with the words,
Mission accomplished.
Listen again next week for another true adventure from the files of the OSS on
Cloak and Dagger. Are you willing to undertake a dangerous mission behind the enemy lines, knowing you may never return alive?
What you have just heard is the question asked during the war to agents of the OSS. Ordinary citizens who to this question answered, yes.
This is Cloak and Dagger.
Black warfare, espionage, international intrigue. These are the weapons of the OSS. In tonight's episode, Overground Railroad, The part of Lieutenant Fontaine, OSS agent who helped thousands of American airmen escape to safety, is played by Les Tremaine. The story is suggested by actual incidents recorded in the Washington files of the Office of Strategic Services. A story that can now be told.
When a flyer was forced down behind enemy lines, he was just another fugitive, moving cautiously at night to avoid detection, fighting for survival. His shelter was a haystack or a hedgerow. For food, he dug raw potatoes or turnips from the field. And in his panic, he was always just one step ahead of the Gestapo, with no knowledge of the country and no friend to whom he could turn. A few of the lucky ones managed to escape back to England. I met one of those lucky ones in Colonel Johnson's office at OSS headquarters in London.
Lieutenant Fontaine, this is Major Davidson.
How do you do, Major?
Glad to know you, Fontaine.
Now, before I ask Major Davidson to tell you a story, I want to say something.
Yes, Colonel Johnson?
At its narrowest, the English Channel is only 20 miles wide, yet it took Major Davidson here more than a year to get across. And hundreds of Allied pilots all over France haven't been able to make it yet. And if something isn't done to help them, they never will.
But, Colonel, with the Nazis occupying France...
With the Nazis occupying France, the channel is still only 20 miles wide. Our trouble has been that up to now we've had no contact with the French underground, no way of helping them smuggle pilots out of France. All right, Major Davidson, go ahead. Tell your story now.
Well, I was shot down over the south of France, coming back from a bombing mission. The rest of the crew was killed. It was just my co-pilot, Johnny Porter, and me left.
Yes. Go on, Major.
We figured our numbers were up. Any flyer forced down on enemy territory figures that nowadays, but we were lucky. A farmer picked us up and hid us overnight. And then the next morning, a big black limousine drove up, and a woman about 60 got out. She took us to her house in Paris and kept us there. She found a way to smuggle us across the channel with a fisherman just a few days ago.
Who was this woman, Major?
Her name is Madame Annette Joubert. I used to tell her she meant more to the Yankee team than Joe DiMaggio. During the time we were with her, she managed to collect 2 more of our boys, but she has no way of getting them out of France.
Well, what do you think, Fontaine?
Just what you think, Colonel. For the first time, OSS has a lead, a contact. What'd you say this woman's name was, Major?
Joubert, Madame Annette Joubert, and quite a gal, too.
Colonel Johnson, with her help, maybe we can set up a chain of way stations. Establish shall we say, an overland railroad. Collect our flyers and move them like chessmen right across France to the Channel.
How soon can you leave?
Anytime you say, Colonel Johnson. Anytime. Oh, by the way, Major, how will I be able to identify myself to Madame Joubert? Did you agree on any code word, anything?
Yes. Here you are.
A black lace garter. I left London a few days later and landed the next morning on the coast of France. A disguised fishing boat let me off, and I made my way to Paris undetected. It was spring, 1944. I was going to know April in Paris, but not the way any American tourist before the war had known it. The red dawn was touching the roofs of Paris and the golden dome of the Pantheon. Most of the city was still dreaming of other, better springtimes before the Germans came. Then the city started to wake up. Bakers were at work through the windows, wetting the dough. The waiters from the cafes were sweeping into the gutter the cigarette butts that their customers had dropped onto the tables the night before. For a few minutes, it was the Paris my mother had talked about. And then, an official Nazi car turned the corner, and I knew that everything had changed. I made my way to 46 Rue d'Ancy, where I'd find Madame Annette Joubert. Madame Joubert! Madame Joubert!
What are you doing making People are still trying to sleep here.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm looking for Madame Annette Jobert. This is her house, isn't it?
Oui, it is her house.
Did you see her go out this morning?
Do you think I have nothing better to do than keep an account of her comings and goings?
But
I did not see her go out this morning, and I have not seen her go out any morning for a week. She has moved.
Moved?
If you'll take the trouble to look, you'll see the windows are all boarded up.
Madame! Madame, please! I've got to locate her. I'm her nephew.
Ask her good friends, the Germans, where she is. Go to the Gestapo.
Now, wait a minute, please! I was up a blind alley. I had come to Paris because I had a contact. Now the contact was gone.
There you are, monsieur. More café.
Merci.
You're the first one in my cafe this morning. I remember other springs. It was always crowded at this time. What is it, monsieur? Do you not feel well? Something wrong?
No, not wrong exactly. It's just that I came to Paris to see my aunt. It seems she's moved and left no forwarding address.
Oh, what a pity. But there is always one way to find her.
A way? What is it?
You have only to go to the Gestapo and ask. They will tell you.
Go to the Gestapo and ask. Sure, why not? OSS wasn't particular who helped us as long as we got the help. I was sure Colonel Johnson wouldn't object to my letting even the Gestapo give us a hand. I beg your pardon.
Der Countess hier on the phone. Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Ja, Herr Kommandant. Ja, augenblicklich. Für augenblicklich, ja, ich werde augenblicklich Herrn Eilboten rüberschicken. Jawohl, Herr Kommandant, jawohl. Now, what is it? What do you want?
I would like some information.
What kind of information?
I arrived from south of France this morning. I came to visit my aunt, only I discovered when I got here that she had moved.
Well, what do you want us to do about it?
Well, I merely request her change of address. I felt certain it would be in the records of the Gestapo.
Natürlich is in our records. The address or change of address of anyone in Paris is listed with us. What's the name of your aunt?
Jobert. Madame Annette Jobert, Sergeant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me see your papers.
Oh, yes, see. Here you are.
Mm-hmm. These papers of yours intrigue me. Never seen any like them before.
Is something wrong with them?
What? On the contrary, they are filled out extremely accurately. Usually one thing or another is omitted. I congratulate you on your thoroughness.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you.
Herr Commandant, there is a Frenchman at the front desk who is trying to locate his aunt, Madame Annette Jobert. Ja, Commandant. Jawohl, I'll send him in.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sergeant.
Wait, one other thing. Your suitcase.
What? My suitcase?
No one is allowed past this desk without having his luggage or packages checked. Put your suitcase up here and open it.
Suitcase was filled with clothing, but there was a false bottom to it. And in the false bottom was a shortwave radio. If the sergeant accidentally pushed the button that would reveal the radio...
What are you so slow about? Here, give me that suitcase.
Oh, yeah.
Ach, Donnerwetter, das ist schwer. What do you have in it? Rocks?
Well, no, it's
all right, never mind, just open it.
Yes. There, you see? Just personal articles.
Yeah. So I see. Do you think I expected you to walk into Gestapo headquarters with a time bomb or a shortwave radio in your suitcase, perhaps? That's just routine. I must check up everything. All right, go ahead. Commandant's office is right down the hall. First door you come to on the right.
Sit down, Monsieur Fontaine. A cigar? These wine-soaked French cigars are very good.
Thank you, Herr Commandant.
I never resist a good cigar or a pretty girl. You wonder perhaps why I am seeing you personally about this matter of locating your aunt, eh?
Oh, whatever the reason, Commandant Kurtz, I'm flattered.
Oh, not at all. Tell your aunt for me that I am delighted to render her this little service. A fine woman, a delightful woman, and a clever woman, too. She's been most cooperative.
Oh, I'm sure she has. Commandant Kurtz, it is most urgent that I find her.
Urgent? How urgent?
I have news for her about my uncle, her brother, who is very ill in the south of France.
Ah, a pity. Tell her for me that if she desires to travel, I will arrange for the necessary permit, of course.
You're very kind.
Not at all, not at all. Now, let me see. Here it is. She has boarded up her house at 46 Rue d'Anzig, as you know, and moved to another residence 20 kilometers southwest of Paris, in the village of Tourry-Ferraud. Here, I will write out the exact address.
Thank you for your help, Herr Commandant. I assure you, I will never forget it. I took a train to the village of Tourry-Ferraud, and all the way I kept thinking about Madame Joubert. The German High Command evidently considered her one of the most important collaborationists. We considered her our most important contact with the French underground. She certainly had someone fooled. I hoped it was the Nazis.
Madame Joubert is in here, monsieur, in the library.
Merci.
Monsieur Fontaine, madame.
Come in. Come in. Cecile, you may go and close the door.
Oui, madame.
Come close. No, come closer. Let me have a good look at you. Eh bien, it's quite far enough. Now, what's all this nonsense about being my nephew?
What's the matter, Auntie? Don't you recognize me?
I've never seen you before in my life.
I have regards for you from friends.
Friends?
Major Norman Davidson and Lieutenant Johnny Porter.
I've never heard of them.
You don't remember helping to smuggle them across the channel, Auntie?
This is insolence. Of what are you accusing me?
Of being an important link in the French underground.
Nonsense. I know of no underground. If there is one, it does not concern me. Now, go back and tell them at Gestapo headquarters that they have made a mistake. And tell Commandant Kurtz I am hurt at his suspicions of me.
What makes you think the Gestapo sent me?
Only the Gestapo knows my change of address.
They were very obliging. They gave it to me.
I ask you to leave, monsieur. I am very busy this afternoon.
I believe you lost this, Madame Joubert.
That black lace garter, where did you get it?
It was given to me by Major Davidson, who says you mean more to the Yankee team than Joe DiMaggio. Oh. Yes. He also told me to give you a great big kiss for him.
Well, bless my heart. Bless my heart, indeed.
You still want me to leave?
You are as fresh as all Americans. Sit down, sit down.
Thank you.
So you just walked in and asked the Gestapo. Oh, stupid swine. Oh, I'd like to see their faces if they knew.
Oh, come, Madame Joubert. Is that a way to talk? They think very highly of you.
Which is just what I want them to think.
Where are the other two pilots now, Madame?
I deposited them in a monastery in the south for safety.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no way to get them to the channel.
Look, Madame Joubert.
Oui.
Perhaps you and I can establish a chain of way stations, safe houses across France.
Oh.
Then the OSS can collect the hundreds of flyers who were shot down and you can send them back to safety.
Yes, but how could I do that without help, without a way to contact England?
I have a radio in the suitcase.
Oh. Very well. In the morning, we will drive to the monastery. The monks there are friendly. They would be more than glad, I'm sure, to let us use that as a base to start operations.
Oh, great. That's wonderful, Madame Joubert.
You had a kiss for me from Major Davidson. Where is it?
Right here, Auntie.
Merci. And now, young man, you will oblige me by giving me back my garter.
Yeah, she was quite a girl, all right, Madame Joubert. She gave me a suite of rooms to myself, got me a chauffeur's uniform, decided my name should be Claude. And in the morning, we set out for the monastery.
Yes, Lieutenant Fontaine. Claude, that is just what we will do.
Yes. OSS will furnish each member of an air crew with detailed escape maps when they are briefed in England, pinpointing the friendly areas on the route of every mission. Do you think these safe houses will be difficult to set up?
Oh, not too difficult, I think. I know already of the home of a sympathetic parish priest, a church, a school, a farmhouse, and I have many wealthy friends who will be willing, I am sure. Why are you slowing down?
Nazi guard wants me to stop.
Don't worry, I have all the necessary permits.
Halt! Let me see your permit to travel.
Here you are. This is a great inconvenience. I will report it to my friend Commandant Kurtz.
Commandant Kurtz? Ach, ja. I see you have his personal stamp on this pass. Where are you headed for, Madame Joubert?
I have business in the village.
I would suggest you do not go today.
Why not?
There is to be an execution in the square. Not very pleasant, madame.
Execution? What are you talking about?
We found 35 tons of arms and materials that were stolen from German supply trains.
Found all that? Where?
In the monastery.
The monastery? I cannot believe that.
Yeah, but it is true. And today they will be shot. 5 of them.
I see. Claude, continue.
You may go if you like, but it will not be very pleasant.
Claude, continue.
Oui, madame.
So they discovered the supplies in the monastery.
What about the 2 American flyers you had hidden there? Did they discover them too? Are they among the 5?
Quickly, drive quickly, Claude.
We reached the square, parked the car, and got out. The people were huddled in little whispering groups. At the far end of the square stood the monastery, and lined up at the wall were 5 monks, their heads lowered, their hands fingering the crosses around their necks. Facing them was a Nazi firing squad. Madame Joubert grabbed my arm.
What are we to do?
I don't think there's anything we can do. Shh!
Let this be a lesson to you people of this village. This is what happens to those who fight against us. These 5 will be shot. The other monks from the monastery will be sent to Germany. You understand? Take a good look. Learn your lesson well. Ready? 5, 4.
Madame Joubert and I went back to the car. But, Madame Joubert, if you drive back yourself, what'll the guard say who stopped us before?
I am an excellent liar. I will simply tell him I went to see a sick relative and left you there to help.
But
I must drive back immediately. As I told you, I am giving a birthday party for Commandant Kurtz. I hope he does not live to see his next. Now, you go to the convent. It is only a few kilometers from here. You know what to do.
Yes, I know what to do. Madame Joubert, what do you think happened to those 2 pilots who were hidden in the monastery?
They were probably found and killed. But, Lieutenant Fontaine, we must go on with our plans. Some have been killed, but many can be saved.
I said goodbye to her. She drove away. The convent of Our Sacred Lady was within walking distance. When I reached the gate, I saw an avenue of acacia trees leading to the great ornate iron door. The center panel formed the figure of the Virgin Mary. It was really spring in these gardens, a peaceful sanctuary in a war-ridden world.
What is your wish?
I would like to see the Mother Superior.
Follow me.
I followed the nun through the spacious hall. It was part vestry, part repository of art objects. The walls were hung with darkened old paintings of the Holy Family. In glass chests along the vestry, religious utensils of gold and silver had been stored.
This is the office of Mother Angeline. Come.
So you want me to let you use the convent of our Sacred Lady as a base for your underground operations?
Mother Angeline, if you know the risk yourself and refuse, I can't find it in my heart to blame you. But if you agree, I want you to know first just what those risks are.
Tell me, my son.
I've just come from the village. The monastery there was raided last night. With my own eyes, I saw 5 of the monks shot. The others were hauled away by the Nazis. Only God knows where.
I know about that. I heard this morning.
If this convent is used as a hideout and the shortwave radio is hidden here, can you imagine what the Germans would do if they found out? You would expect no better treatment than the monks received.
I thank you for telling me this. You are right. There's a great risk. I have many under my care here. They depend on my wisdom to do the right thing.
Of course. You have the other sisters to consider.
You came here today to convince me of your cause. I'm afraid I must disappoint you.
What's that?
You see,
What's the matter?
A German armored car. I can see it from the window.
Coming here?
I'm afraid so. It is the first time we have been raided. I am not looking forward to their muddy boots in this place of God.
They'll find me, Mother Angeline. What can I do? Where can I hide?
They are at the door.
You rang for me, ma mère?
Yes, Sister Therese. Give my friend one of the sisters' robes. One long enough to cover him, and a hood.
Oui, ma mère.
The other sisters, are they already in the chapel?
Oui, ma mère. They have started the afternoon adoration.
See that my friend joins them in prayer. Then open the main door. We have visitors.
I put the nun's robes over my suit and went with Sister Teresa to the chapel. I knelt with the others. About 20 benches divided by a middle aisle provided seats for the worshippers. At the far end of the room was a high pulpit. Many of the kneeling prayed with arms stretched out, symbolizing the form of the cross. The sister next to me clasped her hands, and on her ring finger was the silver emblem of a bride of Christ. They prayed almost silently. Hers were the only words I heard.
O maternal power of the universe, Mother of divine grace, pray for us. Thou wisest Virgin, thou kindly Virgin, pray for us. Pray for the sick world.
Good sisters, these soldiers wish to search the chapel. I must bow to their wishes and ask you to file back to your cells. Leave now quickly and quietly, please.
My head lowered, the hood covering my face. I got into the line with the sisters. I bent my knees slightly so that the robes would cover the chauffeur's boots I was wearing. I lowered my head even more as I passed the SS Hauptmann, who was standing with his men next to the Mother Superior at the door.
I regret the necessity of disturbing your prayer, Mother Angeline, but after the unfortunate incident in the monastery last night, I feel it is necessary.
You may search this convent from top to bottom, as you are already doing. You will find nothing in this house of God to interest you, I'm sure. Hurry, sisters, hurry. Back to your cells.
They're really gone, Mother Angeline?
Of course, they found nothing here. You can take that robe off now. You look uncomfortable in it.
Thank you for protecting me. I believe now.
But we have not finished our conversation.
Mother Angeline, you told me I could not convince you about our cause. You said you'd have to disappoint me. I took that as your answer.
Let me consult two of the other sisters first. Wait. Oui, ma mère? Our two sisters, those in the sacristy. Send them here, please, Sister Celeste.
A few minutes later, Sister Celeste returned, followed by the two other nuns. Their arms folded and heads lowered, they shuffled into the room. And then, all of a sudden, I noticed broad-toed army boots protruding beneath the long black dresses. One of the heads raised, and I saw that he needed a shave. Mother Angeline, I don't understand. These men.
They are American pilots brought here yesterday when the monks received underground information that the monastery would be raided. Major Kirstein, Captain Lewis. This is Lieutenant Fontaine of the OSS.
OSS? That's great. Have you got a way of getting us out of France, Lieutenant?
Yeah. Say, what happened to Madame Jobert? She all right?
Yeah, she's all right. Mother Angeline, you led me to believe I wouldn't be able to convince you of our cause.
Of course not, son. How could you? Since I was already convinced.
The convent of Our Sacred Lady was the first link in a chain of safe houses that was forged within a couple of months under Madame Jobert's leadership. We moved Major Kirstein and Captain Lewis along that chain until they reached the coast of France. They waited, hidden in a farmer's barn, while I established contact with headquarters in London. Agent Fontaine to OSS headquarters in London. Overground railroad established. Train on the tracks. Passengers ready to leave and waiting. Pick them up and make room for more to come.
More did come. Over 2,000 more airmen who were shot down in occupied France rode the overground railroad established by Lieutenant Claude Fontaine to safety. Thus, once again, the report of another OSS agent closed with the words,
Mission accomplished.
Listen again next week for another true adventure from the files of the OSS on
Cloak and Dagger. Are you willing to undertake a dangerous mission behind the enemy lines, knowing you may never return alive?
What you have just heard is the question asked during the war of agents of the OSS. Ordinary citizens who to this question answered, yes.
This is Cloak and Dagger.
Warfare, espionage, international intrigue. These are the weapons of the OSS. Today's adventure,
The Last Mission.
the story of an American OSS agent in Canton, China, is suggested by actual incidents recorded in the Washington files of the Office of Strategic Services. A story that can now be told.
He must have had another name, but I never knew what it was. Everybody on the waterfront called him Charlie. He was old and he limped and he should have drunk less and shaved more. We'd see him on the wharves in the afternoons in his dirty dungarees and torn sweater, begging cigarettes from sailors. Then evenings he would hobble into Li Chen's tavern where I worked to beg for something else.
Hey, Tanya! Ain't you gonna buy Charlie one little drink, huh?
No, I'm not, Charlie. No drinks on the house tonight.
Oh, but tonight's the night there ought to be drinks in the house. Are you forgetting it was just 5 years ago tonight Canton fell to the Japanese? We gotta celebrate, don't we? What's the matter? I say something wrong?
I don't like your sense of humor.
Oh, I don't see what you got again the Japs, Tanya. With all them nationalities mixed up in you probably got some Jap blood yourself.
No, I haven't. Every other kind may be Spanish and Russian, even Irish, but there's not a drop of Jap blood in the Bonillas.
All right. Don't get steamed up. I still say there's no reason for you to hate him. What do you care who's running Canton?
I told him then. I don't know why I did. I've never told anyone else. How they'd murdered my family in Nanking 6 years before. My father, my mother, my 2 sisters. The Japs had killed them all. And if we hadn't got out of the city ahead of them, they'd have killed my brother Florian and myself.
So you wasn't always a waitress in a waterfront dive, huh, Tanya?
No. And my brother didn't always prowl the streets looking for trouble. I got the Japs to thank for that. Now maybe you can understand.
Easy, Tanya. We got visitors.
What do they want now?
Checking identification papers again.
You press arise.
That means what?
Always arise in the presence of the soldiers. Remember that hereafter. No, your papers, press.
Here.
Tanya Bonilla. Born in Madrid. You are Spanish, but you have Russian first name.
And an Irish middle name. What does that make me?
Perhaps makes you anyway Aryan.
Captain.
Yes, Lieutenant.
It would be very dull in Canton if we put all the beautiful girls in jail.
That is true. Your papers are in order, Miss Bonilla. And now, your papers, please.
Who, me? I ain't got no papers, Captain.
What you done with them?
I don't know. I guess you must have lost them.
What is your nationality?
I don't know that neither. Nobody never told me. Seems like I've been around Canton since it was knee-high.
You are an American, perhaps?
American? That's good.
Take him away, Lieutenant.
No, wait a minute, fella. Hold your horses, will you? I ain't gonna do you guys no good locked up in the brig. But I could help you plenty if I was free to mosey around the dock.
You come now, or I will... Wait, Lieutenant. What do you mean, old man? How could that help us?
Why, I get around, Captain. Old Charlie talks to everybody, and everybody talks to me. And they ain't too careful what they say, neither. If anybody was planning any monkey business, sabotage, or anything like that, old Charlie would be just about the first to know about it.
And you would report it to us?
Why not? You're the guys who are running the show, so you're the guys I take orders from. See what I mean?
They saw what he meant. And when they left, he was still sitting with me, grinning as if he were proud of what he had done. I got up without a word and went to the bar and bought a drink. I brought it back and held it out.
Say, did you buy that for me, Tanya?
Yes, I bought it for you.
Well, now, that's mighty nice of you. Let me have it.
I'll let you have it. There!
Hey, what's the idea of throwing good whiskey in my face? What's the idea of that?
I couldn't find words to tell you what I think of you, Charlie. But I wanted you to know. I was sorry afterward. After all, Charlie was old and hungry and half-cracked. I should have saved it for somebody else. Someone closer and dearer to me. I should have saved it for my brother, Florian, who was waiting for me when I got home.
I thought you'd never get here, Tanya. Hurry up and change your clothes. We're going to a party.
A party? What party, Florian?
Well, it's sort of an anniversary banquet. You know, 5 years in Canton. There are going to be a lot of important people there. Chinese, Japanese, both. Big celebration.
Oh? And we're going to celebrate with them?
Oh, we weren't invited, of course, but I know a fellow at the door. He's going to let us in. We rub shoulders with some of the most important people in Canton.
Maybe even with the men who murdered your mother and father.
What? Oh, nah, don't be like that, Tanya. That was a long time ago. These aren't the same fellows who took Nanking.
They're Japanese.
Yeah,
We're
but...
not going to the party, Florian. We got nothing to celebrate.
No? Well, maybe you're not going, but I am.
Why?
Because I know what side my bread is buttered on, that's why.
The Jap side?
As long as they're top dog, yes. And it looked like they're going to be top dog for a long time.
I see. You're a traitor to our family, Florian.
We haven't got family, Tanya. We haven't got anything. And we never will have unless one of us starts playing on the winning team. See you later.
I didn't sleep well that night. I lay there in the dark, feeling as if I were alone in a world of enemies. That same feeling haunted me all the next day at Lee Chen's. Charlie didn't come to the tavern that evening. I didn't see him till I was through working, till I stepped out into the dark street. Then a shadowy figure came staggering up to me.
Tanya?
You're drunk, Charlie. You better go home.
That's just what I was thinking, Tanya. Only I can't seem to get there. The street keeps going round in circles. How about you kind of steer old Charlie along?
I'm sorry. I want to get home myself. It's late.
Oh, come on, Tanya. Be a sport, will you? Help old Charlie.
He grabbed my arm and hung on to it.
That's a girl.
It seemed easier to do what he asked than to argue about it.
Hey, good girl.
I'd never seen his home, but he remembered the address, and I led him toward it through the deserted streets.
Ah, here we are.
It was the kind of place you'd expect Charlie to live in. A filthy two-story dump in the worst part of Canton. He was still holding my arm as I took his key and unlocked his door for him. Good night, Charlie. Go to bed and sleep it off.
Come on in for a while. Why don't you?
No, good night, Charlie.
I got a bottle in there, Tanya. We can have a little drink.
I don't want to drink.
Oh, come on in anyway. Come on, Tanya.
Charlie, let go of me. Let go, you hear? But he didn't let go. His fingers were like a vice around my wrist.
Come on.
He jerked me across the threshold. He shoved me into the pitch-black room and slammed the door.
Now, where's that light?
You filthy old bum! Let me out of here!
Sorry I had to manhandle you like that. It was the only safe way of getting you in here.
I thought someone else had said it. I thought there must be 3 of us in the room. Then the light flashed on, and there were just 2. Just Charlie and me.
Surprised, Tanya? I'm sorry, but I have to play it safe. You see, Tanya, I am an American. An agent of the OSS.
I didn't speak. I stared at him and tried to understand. Tried to connect him with the shuffling little wharf rat I'd always known as Charlie.
You realize, of course, Tanya, that this is something of an act of faith, exposing my identity to you like this. No one else in Canton knows who I am. I thought a long time before I decided to let you in on it. When you told me about your family, I had a hunch I could trust you. And then when you threw that drink in my face, I was sure of it.
But Charlie... I mean...
That's right, I'm still Charlie.
But why have you done this? Why should you trust me with your life?
For a very good reason. Because I need your help.
My help?
You see, I've operated alone here for a long time. Oh, it hasn't been too tough, but now...
Now?
Jap intelligence is tightening up. A lot of things I can't do alone anymore. That's why I need you.
Oh, but I have no experience. I don't know anything
You have
about...
courage and you hate the Japanese. That's worth a lot more than experience.
What do you want me to do, Charlie?
Come on upstairs.
He led me up a long, narrow, rickety staircase. He opened the door to a tiny, garret-like room just beneath the roof. It was hot and stuffy. The light he switched on was so dim that at first I couldn't see.
You know what this is, Tanya?
A radio transmitter.
That's right.
You send messages. To whom?
American submarines operating off the Chinese coast. And what I send is all the information I can get about Jap shipping entering and leaving the port of Canton.
I see.
Tanya, you wait on sailors at Lee Chan's all day. You drink with them.
I've never drunk with a Japanese sailor.
But you could. Sailors talk a lot when they're drunk. And if they don't talk enough, I could provide you with knockout drops. They'd sleep peacefully while you examined their papers.
I see.
It scares you a little?
A little, yes. You see,
Watch it, Tanya.
What?
That lever on the wall, you almost touched it. You better not.
Oh, what is it, Charlie?
Oh, it's a little precaution I've taken. I wouldn't want this transmitter to fall into Japanese hands. They could do a great deal of damage with it.
But the lever in the wall.
That can do a great deal of damage, too. It sets off an explosive that'd blow this building sky high.
I wasn't sorry to leave that room. We went downstairs a few minutes later. He stood in front of me, watching me.
Tanya, let me explain something. We're all volunteers in the OSS, and the people who help us are volunteers, too. You don't have to do this unless you want to.
I understand, Charlie.
If you refuse, I won't worry about what you know. I'll still trust you.
I don't intend to refuse.
It doesn't scare you too much?
When I think of my father and mother and sister, it doesn't scare me at all.
It's a deal?
It's a deal.
I don't have any liquor. We might have a smoke on it, though.
American cigarettes? Oh, I haven't had one for years.
Keep the pack.
Thanks.
To a free world, Tanya.
To a free world. That night I slept well. Now I had friends and allies. That is, I slept well until sometime shortly before dawn, and then the sound of my bedroom door opening awoke me. I wasn't frightened. I knew who it was and what he wanted. It had happened so many times before. I waited until he reached my dresser, until he bent over my purse. Don't take any of my money, Florian.
Oh, you're awake. Well, I was just...
Yes, I know, but I really can't spare any this week. I need the little I got.
Well, you don't need it any more than I do. I'm broke, Tanya. Now, where am I supposed to get money to live on?
Not out of my purse. Please close it, Florian.
All right. Well, see... Hey, what's this?
What?
Where you get these?
What, Florian?
These American cigarettes.
I got them at the tavern.
Who from?
From a Jap soldier.
A Jap soldier?
Yeah, he had taken them off an American prisoner of war.
And a Jap gave them to you?
Yes,
huh?
why not?
And you accepted them?
Naturally, I accepted them.
Well, so now my noble sister is accepting gifts from the enemy. Either you had a great change of heart, Tanya, or else...
Or else what?
Or else... you're lying.
Beginning the very next night, I flirted with every Jap sailor who came into Lee Chains. I kept my mouth closed and my ears open. I used every trick I knew to persuade them to talk. And when it became necessary, I used something else. The little white pills that Charlie had given me.
No more to drink now.
Oh, but the evening is young, darling. Come on, let's drink a toast to the Emperor. Stand up.
I can't stand up.
Of course you can. Here, I'll help you. Come on. Go. Hey, that's it. Now, to the Son of Heaven, His Imperial Majesty, drink! Oh, it was so easy, Charlie. He was out cold. I just reached into his pocket and there were his papers.
No one saw you?
Not a soul.
You put the papers back?
Of course, after I'd copied them. Here's the information. How am I doing, Charlie? I knew I was doing well, and as time went on, I did even better. We would hear reports on Charlie's radio of Jap ships torpedoed and sunk in Chinese waters, and Charlie would say,
"That was the baby you told me about last week." Chalk up another one for Tanya, the scourge of the Jap merchant marine.
I was proud, and I was happy. And I believed my father and mother and sisters knew, and that they were proud too. And then came the night I went straight from Li Chen's tavern to Charlie's house to tell him what I'd heard.
The Takota Maru, huh? That's one of the NIP's biggest ships.
I know, Charlie. And she's carrying industrial machinery to Yokohama, one of those factories they've stripped in Fuchao.
You sure about the sailing time?
Quite sure. Tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
Good enough. I'll tip off the subs right away and they'll be laying for her, if she isn't traveling in convoy.
She isn't, Charlie.
Then they'll get her like a sitting duck. Well, it's late, Tanya. Better get going.
I'll see you tomorrow, Charlie.
Not during the day. I'm going down to Tung Ho's junk on the river. I'll be back here by evening.
Good night, Charlie.
Wait a minute. Let me see if the coast is clear. Okay. Go ahead. Good night.
It was late. The streets were dark and deserted. I would have taken a rickshaw home, but it was too late for that. So I walked. Or rather, I tried to walk, but it was hard to keep myself from running. I told myself I was a fool to be afraid. The streets were safer than in broad daylight. There was no one on them. There was no one who could possibly. I stopped. I thought I heard footsteps. Someone walking behind me. I turned. There was no one there. At least I couldn't see anyone. I started walking faster, and I grabbed the revolver that Charlie had given me. And then I heard the sound again. This time I stopped and whirled around. There was a street lamp behind me, and I saw a shadow on the wall of the building. The shadow of a man. Who's there? Come out and show me who you are. If you don't, I'll shoot.
Take it easy, Tanya.
Florian.
You wouldn't want to shoot your own brother, would you?
Florian, what are you doing here? Where were you following me?
Oh, just curious, that's all. I've been wondering for quite a while what you were up to.
For quite a while?
I've seen you go to that place several times. I even took the trouble to find out who lives there. It's that old fellow they call Charlie.
That's right. Charlie does live there. He's sick.
Oh, he's sick, huh?
Yes.
Just an errand of mercy, huh?
Exactly. An errand of mercy. You act as if you didn't believe me.
Of course I believe you. I certainly don't think you're in love with the old boy. And what other reason would you have to visit him?
We walked the rest of the way home together. I was sure he didn't believe me, but I couldn't go back to Charlie's to warn him, not without getting Florian more suspicious. In the morning, I thought. But then I remembered that Charlie would be on Tung Ho's junk on the river in the morning. Li Chen's tavern opened at noon the next day. The minute I walked in, I knew something was wrong. There were too many Japanese soldiers, far too many. They sat at the bar, drinking. They played cards at the tables. They lounged against the walls, puffing their cigarettes and eyeing me as I crossed the room and whispered to Li Chen. Why are there so many of them, Li Chen?
Maybe your brother can't tell you, Tanya.
My brother.
He in back room. He say you come back, see him.
I knew then, and I was sick with anger and shame. But I was sicker still when I saw him sitting alone in that back room, when I saw the smirking triumph on his face.
Good morning, Tanya. How's your sick friend this morning? Don't stand there and stare. I haven't done anything so terrible. After all, one spy, more or less.
How much did they pay you, Florian?
Quite a bit. It seems they've known for a long time there was one operating in Canton. They haven't been able to get their hands on him.
Until you betrayed him.
Yes. Though they still haven't found him. There are some soldiers waiting for him over at his place where you went last night, I mean. And there's a crowd of them here. They're bound to pick him up pretty soon.
Didn't you get a bonus for betraying me, too?
Oh, I might have, but I wouldn't sell out my own sister. I kept you in the clear. I told him you helped me spot him.
Thank you, Florian.
Oh, not at all, Tanya. By the way, I can pay you back some of the money I lifted from your purse. After all, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be sitting pretty now. Would a couple of 100 yen even the score? Huh? What do you say?
There was so much I could have said, but I didn't waste the time. Only one thing mattered now. Charlie was still free. I swore by the memory of my mother and father that I would keep him free. It was a half hour before I managed to slip away from Li Chen's unnoticed. Charlie had introduced me to Tong Ho, and I had been aboard his junk the week before, so the guerrillas on guard around the boat recognized me. They led me to a cabin.
That you, Tong Ho?
It's Tanya, Charlie.
Tanya. I thought you were Tong Ho. You just want ashore to meet a courier from Hong Kong, some sort of important news.
Not as important as the news I have for you. I poured it all out, and he listened thoughtfully.
Well, they found the transmitter, of course, but that's no good to them.
Couldn't they use it to send false messages?
Not without the code book. The subs would know the messages were phony. They'd figure out what had happened.
But where is the code book?
Right here.
Oh, Charlie. Then there's no reason why you can't escape.
No, none that I can see. My usefulness in Canton is over. Yeah, we'll pull out, both of us.
You'll take me with you?
Sure. Tong Ho will take us upriver. Well, here he is now. I hope that courier's report was better than the news Tanya brought me, Tong Ho.
It was about captive American flyers, Charlie.
What about them?
50 of them have been brought into Canton. They're being sent to prison camps in Japan. They sailed tonight aboard the Dakota Maru.
Dakota Maru?
Charlie, that's the ship I told you about last night.
Yeah. It's the ship I radioed the subs to torpedo.
They will torpedo our own men then, Charlie.
They will if I don't countermand the order. Gotta let them know the flyers are aboard. They gotta let the ship go through.
You cannot tell them, Charlie. You cannot get to the transmitter.
I have to.
But there are Japanese soldiers there waiting for you.
So I'll get past them somehow.
Charlie, no, don't go back there. They'll kill you if you do.
And they'll kill those flyers if I don't. There are 50 of them. There's only one of me.
I said I would go back with him. I said he would need help getting past the Japs. I said I wouldn't leave Canton without him. And in the end, because I left him no choice, he allowed me to stay at his side. He told me his plans before we left the boat.
They'll be waiting for me in the room downstairs, but we won't go that way. There's a trapdoor in the ceiling of the radio room. If we can get into the building next door and out onto the roof, we'll be able to jump over onto my building. We may get in and send the message without even letting them know we're there.
A half hour later, we were creeping up the stairs of the building next door. And a few minutes later, we stood huddled on the edge of the adjoining roof.
All right, let's jump. Try to land as quietly as you can.
And then, flat on our stomachs, we crawled toward the trapdoor and pried open its rusty hinges and lowered ourselves into the radio room. Charlie sat down at the transmitter, his code book in his hand. I went to the door, my revolver in mine. Have you made contact with them, Charlie?
Not yet. Any sounds from downstairs?
No, not yet. Charlie, hurry.
I'm doing the best I can.
Yes, but if you... Charlie.
Yes?
Listen.
Someone coming upstairs.
2 of them at least. maybe 3.
Okay. Get going, Tanya.
No.
Quick, out through the trapdoor and over the roof. Those are orders.
But you, Charlie.
I'll be right behind you. I've made contact now. All I have to do is finish the message. Now get out of here.
It was a lie. It was the only lie that Charlie ever told me. As I crossed the roof, I looked behind me, and he wasn't there. I went down the stairs next door and out onto the street, and he still wasn't there. I moved quickly through the crowd, still looking back, still waiting, still hoping. And then... he had pulled the lever that destroyed the transmitter. Later, a long time later, I learned that the Dakota Maru had passed safely through the submarines with 50 American flyers aboard. Charlie had sent his message in time. He had performed his last service for the OSS. The last, but one, I mean. The very last had been to die for it.
And once again, the report of another OSS agent closes with the words,
Mission accomplished.
Listen again next week for another true adventure from the files of the OSS on
Cloak and Dagger.
Heard in today's Cloak and Dagger adventure as Charlie was Ian Martin, Tanya, Bryna Rayburn, Florian Arnold Moss. Others were Ralph Bell, Raymond Edward Johnson, Carl Weber, and Guy Rep. Script was written by Ken Field, and music was under the direction of John Garth. Sound effects by Max Russell and Frank Loughlin. Engineering, Don Abbott. Today's OSS adventure was based on the book Cloak and Dagger by Corey Ford and Alistair McBain. This program was produced by Louis G. Cowan and Alfred Hollander under the direction and supervision of Sherman Marks.
3 chimes mean good times on NBC.